some of the earliest radio sets, that received radio signals. In this case, here's one that sends radio signals too. Were operated by amateurs called ham radio operators, often built by them too. Here's a fellow who looks a little bit like George Bernard Shaw. He was a ham radio operator, probably also in the early 30s. And they are ham radio operators today. Some of you may know someone who has that as a hobby. They can communicate with people via radio waves all over the world. They have sending towers and all kinds of pretty cool equipment. So, meaning of electricity and the invention of a way to send and receive sound using radio waves turned into something that people did as a hobby, and then some smart businessmen figured, you know what, maybe we can do a little something more with this and turn it into a medium. And radios were widespread by the late 30s and 40s. These are some of the companies that got into the business. Westinghouse, AT&T, American Telephone and Telegraph, the invention of the telephone from Alexander Graham Bell, and United Fruit Company pooled resources and started RCA, Radio Corporation of America. And free access was paid for by sponsorship of shows. So they didn't have blocks of time where they aired ads from different advertisers, but one advertiser would sponsor the whole show. That's the first form of advertising in electronic media. David Sarnoff is someone else who, once some stations were formed, local stations that were doing this kind of broadcasting and sponsorship, he formed a network called NBC. And William Paley, who was the son of a cigar manufacturer born here in New York, started his own broadcasting company when he was in his 20s called Columbia Broadcasting, CBS, and he's the one who first would send his programs out to radio stations all over the country for free if they allowed him to have a certain amount of time during the program to run his advertisers. And so it was a national network, and that's the model that he used, and that's the model that television uses to this day in terms of networks. All these genres began, content genres began on radio, from the soap opera to the game show to the, as we said before, to the sitcom. And the heavyweight 1921 RCA broadcast a heavyweight fight between Jack Dempsey and George Carpenter. And another station broadcasted the World Series baseball game. And now I'm going to play a couple of old radio programs. I am going to say this one I picked up called The Goldbergs, it's a little clip, was produced by Compton Advertising for its client Procter & Gamble. Procter & Gamble is a huge, if you don't know, packaged goods company considered to be by many to be the smartest marketers in the world. They make Tide and Pampers and Crest toothpaste and Head Shoulder shampoo, many things. And very early on, they got into this production of their own programming to run their own ads. And this one, the Goldbergs, I'm going to say in advance, there are some cultural and racial stereotyping going on in here that are not appropriate for today. But this, we all have to recognize it's historical, and please look at it in that context. Nobody's recommending or endorsing anything. We're just playing some old programs made by people who do not have the liberality, etc., that we have today.